Improve it. Improve it.
Podcast.
Improve it. Peeps, welcome to a new year, a new you, a new podcast episode, and a whole new month, all with brand new content. This is the month of January. We are focusing on the theme of magnetic cultures. And I just want you to know that this month's lineup of guests is so incredible. We are channeling a lot of the information that is coming out of my new book, I See You, A Leader's Guide to Energizing Your Team Through Radical Empathy. And part 3 of the book is all about magnetic cultures. So it actually has 3 parts: self-love plus selfless leadership equals a magnetic culture. That is the overarching message throughout the book. And this month we are diving deep into magnetic cultures, what it means to be magnetic, how you can do that and implement it into your life. So, and if you haven't gotten a pre-order of the book, we are officially an Amazon bestseller from pre-orders. Please get your copy on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, whatever retailer you prefer. But I want you to just do a quick homework item for me. If you missed last week's episode 218, Craving Routine Habits You'll Actually Stick to, and just know it's only 4 easy steps. Make sure you check it out, as it's the last one on our series of conversations all about selfless leadership. And now moving into this month about magnetic cultures, I am going to just use this pun. I am drawn. I am attracted. I am magnetized to today's guest, Rha Goddess. Rha is a dream interview for me. This is a pinch me moment, my friends, and I cannot wait to dive into today's episode with you. Let me tell you about Rha Goddess. Rha Goddess is the soul coach behind hundreds of breakthrough changemakers, cultural visionaries, and social entrepreneurs. As the founder and CEO of Move the Crowd and co-founder of Information, Rha's unique methodology has empowered a new generation of conscious entrepreneurs and leaders to stay true, get paid, and do good. From the onset of her more than 30-year career as a cultural innovator, social impact strategist, and creative change agent, Rha has drawn on the power of creativity, culture, and community to move hearts, minds, and policy. Rha's work has focused on issues of racial justice and equality, leadership, electoral politics, offender aid and restoration, mental health and youth and women's empowerment, and contributed to initiatives that have impacted millions of lives. Rha's best-selling book, The Calling: 3 Fundamental Shifts to Stay True, Get Paid, and Do Good, published in January of 2020 by St. Martin's Press, leverages her unique methodology into a step-by-step blueprint for finding your purpose and making your most profitable contribution. Y'all, this interview is incredible. Let's get to improving it with the one, the only Rha Goddess. Welcome to the show. Literally a guiding light, one of the most amazing humans walking planet Earth at art in this generation, Rha Goddess. Welcome to the Improve It podcast.
Thank you so much, Erin, for having me. It's my joy to be here.
You are just divine. You can feel how divine you are just through the internet. Like, I'm literally looking at you and just your aura and your presence is so beautiful. So I want to start off. This is the first show of 2024, the first show in the new year. We are talking all about magnetic culture this month. And I want to hear from you. What would be an intention that we could set for our time together today that you want to set for yourself, or just even for our audience? What's an intention you want to set? It could be one word or a couple words.
Yeah, I believe that 2024 is all about being present and recognizing the power that lives in our attention and the quality of attention we pay to ourselves and each other. And so, my intention for 2024 is to be present, 100% present. And our community at Move the Crowd will be working with and studying this theme as our community of practice this year, because I think that's where the revolution is.
Oh my gosh. I love that so much. I actually carry a bracelet on my wrist that says "Be Here Now" as that reminder, because it's so easy in today's day and age to not be. And I think what's so beautiful and how you've created this dynamic community of light workers and people leaders yourself is by being present. Would you say that that has something to do with your success?
I mean, I'm humbled,
Yes,
like I always
yes.
say this to you, Erin, like I'm humbled. I don't take these things for granted, but it has become more and more of a commitment for me. The older I get, the more I learn, the more I experience, the more I have the privilege to interact with thousands and thousands of people, the more I'm convinced that the greatest gift that we can give each other is to be here now. And it's so like I have chills because literally our message for 2024 is be here now. Literally. That is absolutely the message.
Oh.
I mean, so this is all we can already see, Erin.
The tears are running. I'm like, why
the way the serendipity works.
So much with you already. I'm like, I looked at you and I was like, Rha. You are, and I know you say you're humbled, but I genuinely, I should say, when I've followed you for a long time. And I know a lot of leaders who have worked with you, and you just have this ability to really make people feel like they're the only person in the room. I think that's what I notice about the way you coach, and what I've seen from just who I know of you online is that ability to make people feel seen just through your presence is magnetic, which is what draws people to you. So when we talk about magnetic cultures, what does the word magnetic mean to you?
This is, again, Erin, this is so beautiful because it is also one of my practice words for this quarter, right? Is magnetic. And I believe it means to be radiant and to be receptive. And I think it is both sides, right? Because when we want to magnetize something, if we think about the quality of our organizations and we think about wanting to create an incredible culture, it has everything to do with what we're putting out. Because it's all about vibration, right? As my California peeps would say, it's all about your vibe.
That's right.
All about your energy, right?
That's right.
And, it's so important to consider what we want to radiate. And for me, I think having been someone who has been in spaces in various stages of my life where I haven't felt as welcome, or I haven't felt a sense of openness, or I haven't felt seen. And I think every single one of us has had some experience. If you live long enough, if you do enough, if you find yourself in enough spaces and places, there's going to come a time where maybe somebody doesn't see you. And then you have the experience where someone fully sees you. And again, if we're lucky enough, right? If we live long enough, if we find the right places and spaces. And in my belief, that is again, the greatest gift is that you can see someone. So for me, the radiant part of it is about sharing the love, is about sharing the light, is about sharing that sense of welcome, that sense of openness, that sense of genuine curiosity and authenticity. And then the receptive part is about really receiving the other person, right? What you're putting out, and then receiving how the other person is receiving what you're putting out, and then also what the other person is radiating and putting forth, and that there is real magic in our ability to connect. So I think magnetic cultures are about connection. They're about welcome.
I love this so much because when you talk, I can feel the conviction behind it. And you know that through the proof is in your pudding. Like, you have done this, you have created magnetic leaders through your coaching and through your books. And I want to start with Rha in the beginning. How did you get to this place? I know there's we could take hours of time to talk through, but if you had to sum it up in the Cliff's Notes version, how did Rha Goddess become Rha Goddess and find her calling so she could help other people do the same?
Yeah, I always say this, Erin, like, I came to this work kicking and screaming. Literally.
Yeah.
I mean, the universe had to hem me up by my collar before I would say, yes, I'm willing to do this. I'm willing to lean in. I'm willing to figure it out, because at the time that my purpose and calling was shown to me and the way it was shown to me, I didn't have words for what it was. And I feel that there are a lot of people out there that have the feeling, they have the elements, they have the pieces, they have the energy, but maybe because they don't feel like they can put the perfect words to it, they shy away. Right. And so I think my lesson of reluctance, my lesson around being a reluctant leader, around being a reluctant everything, enables me to cultivate a sense of compassion for all of the people who I know are standing at the precipice of their real life, looking over the edge, wondering what day or what hour or what moment they're going to leap, right?
Oh my gosh. You took me through a metaphor I almost wanted to go down, but I'm not going to do it because it's almost like, actually, I'm going there. It's like you're standing at a cliff waiting for the reason to jump. And then once you jump, it all makes sense. And I think I know many people who have worked with you, and I know the power of your work. And is there any specific instance, like, that you were kicking and screaming that made you take that leap and find your next calling? Like, was there a specific moment where you were like, this is it?
Yes, I've had many, many, many moments where I'm going to say to you, divine intervention has shown up in the midst of peril, and saved my little, what.
Yep. Uh-huh. Yep.
And a few years ago, I started sharing about the fact that I was shot at point blank range, and had this incident where this person was firing, and the bullets were definitely leaving the chamber of the gun, but they were, for whatever reason, not penetrating me. And I had literally this shield of energy that kind of came down in between me and this individual. And that was the first moment where I was like, okay, I'm surrendering, God. I got it. Like, okay, don't know where the bullets went, but I got the message, right? I would say I've had another moment many, many years later where my health, and, we know the story, you all, where we face a health challenge, or we face a death in our family, or we face some kind of traumatic moment where we start to go, wait, why am I here? Like, what are we doing? Like, what is this about? And in the second moment, I remember being in the machine where you get the MRI. And, they had been doing a number of tests on me, and, to sort of try to discern what was going on and the magnitude of what was happening. And I remember feeling the vulnerability of my mortality, which I will say to you, anyone who's ever been in a hospital bed, or in a situation where, they are really dependent upon the care of others. Those are humbling moments. Those are reckoning moments. And I remember asking spirit, like, if this was the end for me, or if this was the beginning of me sort of facing my mortality, had I done everything that I said I was going to do? Like, could I really rest in peace? And what came back to me was, you have done what I've called you to do, but there is so much more if you're willing to go 10 times. If you're willing to give up fear and really take the risk. And I think, we live in a very risk averse culture,
Yes.
right? All of us are looking for security blankets and exit plans and all the things. And so I know I'm talking dirty when I say it, but what it opened up in me was this recognition that the ceiling really is limitless. If I'm willing to keep stepping forward, it's like, okay, I have nothing to really lose if I'm willing to keep stepping forward. And again, I know that that's a provocative statement because so many people feel like they have everything to lose, and whether it's true or not true, the feeling of that is very real. And so much of what I feel like I'm here to do, Erin, humbly, and in these reckoning moments, like every time, sort of spirit pushes me further and challenges me more and moves me higher. It's about helping people release their hold on what they think is their reality.
Oh, so good. And that voice that told you if you can go 10 times harder, have you listened to that voice? Are you listening? And that is where you are today?
Yeah. And it's interesting because I would say, even in the going harder, right? Because if I think about our kind of indoctrination with work, that can insinuate grind.
Yeah.
And what spirit was really saying was 10 times more trust. 10 times more. You know what I mean? Like, in other words, bolder, right? Can you trust more?
Yes.
Can you dream bigger?
I love it.
Can you aim higher?
I think you're doing it. I think you're on the outside looking in, you're doing it. So keep going. And I love that you listened to that voice, because I think a lot of times, and this goes into your book, The Calling, people they hear the voice, but they may not listen. And they think this isn't my highest self talking to me or my inner guide. This is just a thought that I had. But truly, when you get still and listen to that inner voice, it could guide you to your calling. And this is what I really wanted to get into, was you have a 6-step framework that you use to help people find their calling. Can we high level go through them? Because I think people who press play today, they want that answer. And I want them to walk away knowing that you are living proof that you listened to that call, and now you've got the guidebook and the framework to help them do the same. So let's do it.
Yeah. So let's go. Okay. So the first step is awareness. The first step is awareness. Step 1. And I always say, you can't do anything until you can see. So our ability to start to pay attention, and for most people, Erin, it begins with how they're feeling, right? Because again, we're moving. We've got lots of things coming at us in any given day, lots of things going through our mind. Being present is hard often because there's so much moving. And so the beginning is to start to observe and start to ask yourself some real questions like, how am I feeling?
Yeah.
About this or that.
Yeah.
Right? Where's it at? Do I feel invigorated or enlivened, or do I feel drained, or do I feel excited, or do I feel resigned, right? Or resentful? And so that first moment of really checking in is what begins you in sort of moving from the place of what I call victim to vision, right? And this idea of victim is more about living by default, right? In other words, everybody else is making the decisions, whereas in the world of, or in the realm of vision, you're making the decisions, you're making the choice, and you're in a co-creative experience. Step 2, once we see, then we get to choose. Like, okay, now that I know what's going down, now that I've become aware of what's happening, I recognize that there's an impact on my life, on my reality, on my relationships, on my world, right? Do I want to keep choosing this? Or do I potentially want to go somewhere else? So first we accept by telling the truth about what's happening and the degree to which it's working or not working for us. And that is where we then have that choice point, right? I will say to you, this is the place where a lot of people get stuck, because either we see something we don't like, we turn the other way, or we see something we don't like and we start to beat up on ourselves, which creates more regret.
Yes.
Right? Which sort of almost entrenches us further. So step 3 is forgiveness. And this is really about putting the past in the past. No, like really.
Like really, right.
Yes.
Do you think this is the step that people get hung up on the most, or would you say it's the choice step 2? What step is out of these first 3 do they get hung up on?
I think it's the step 2 is where they get, and I'll tell you why my experience is they get stuck and they don't. So we'll talk about step 3 in a minute, because I promise you step 3 is dicey as well, right? But step 2 is about being willing to actively choose, am I going to keep this thing or am I going to trade it up for something greater or something better? And what my experience often happens for people is they're holding on to the thing and they don't realize that they've chosen to hold on to the thing.
Right.
They just think it's like a permanent fixture in their reality and they have no say in the matter, no choice in the matter. It's just kind of like, this is just how it is. So when we get to the point of, to your point, like when people want to start to beat themselves up, it's like, can they invite in forgiveness? That is what enables them to then kind of like, okay, I want to choose something different. And part of what enables me to choose something different is being willing to let go of the past, let go of my justifications, let go of my reasons, let go of every mistake I think I've made that, how could you, right? And we all know, again, not saying anything that's necessarily new here, but we are the hardest to forgive.
Right.
Ourselves, because we always believe that we should have seen it coming. We should have known better.
Yes. Could you give us can I ask you one more question about step 3? Because I think this is so important, because a lot of anxiety and a lot of the past and the future of anxiety is really just caught up in this unforgiveness of ourselves and this self-loathing. So do you have a tangible practice that you use to forgive yourself that you could share with people that's easy?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, in the book, there is a 4-step ritual that I use and that I walk my beloved leaders through that is all about forgiveness, and the first thing is our ability to sort of remember who we are. And I say that because when traumatic things happen or difficult things happen, hard things happen, there's a way in which we turn away from ourselves. You know what I mean? Yeah. There is a loss of power. There's a loss of wholeness in what goes down. And the first step is to come back to the truth of who we are. And the truth of who we are is that we are incredible. Have we made mistakes? Absolutely. Right? Have we, have there been things that we've done we wish we could have done better? Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think the degree to which we hold ourselves hostage or we hold ourselves prisoners to this lack of perfection is a place where that rubber meets the road. So the step 1 is like, how do I come back to myself? How do I recognize and remember who I am? Because somewhere along this way, I forgot. And I began making choices that were consistent with someone that was not who I am, right? Or something that was not who I am, or consistent with who I am, right? So that's that first step. The second step is the actual completion, the releasing part. And here's what I'll say about this one, because to your point, where people get stuck is that I give people the scale of 1 to 10,
Yeah.
right? So you might do the completion part. You might go through that a few times. You might walk around that block a couple of times, because the letting go can be hard.
Yeah.
You know, and so, when I have a hard time letting go of something, I really have to sit and ask myself, what is it about this thing that makes me afraid to release it? And for some of us, it's been leverage. Let's just go here. Maybe it's something we've held over our own heads or over somebody else's head, or it's a way in which we've felt right, or, when we've been hurt, we want to see justice happen.
Yep.
And if justice hasn't happened, we'll hold on. So there are all these sort of conversations. And part of what I teach my leaders is that letting go doesn't have to be conditional upon all these things. Like, you can let go and still sue somebody if that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
You can let go and still take the necessary steps that are rooted in accountability. What we're releasing when we get to this part of completion is we're releasing the grip, the way in which it keeps us emotionally in bondage.
Yes.
That is what we're releasing, is the energetic tie of whatever that situation or circumstance is, right?
Yes.
I may have to have that conversation with myself 3 or 4 times.
Yep.
Right? On a scale of 1 to 10, okay, today's a 2.
Yep.
On a scale of, and I think there's also relief in understanding that you may not get it all in the first try.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I also want to say, and this, Erin, sometimes we go through a process of change or a process of transformation, and, we're beating ourselves up. We're the transformation police now. Like, well, how come you didn't get it on the first try?
Right.
Well,
right.
Why aren't you over it already? Damn it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I think this is where the self-love and self-compassion become incredibly important. The next step in the ritual process after you release it is that you begin to have space open up, so that you can then go, okay, so now that I'm letting that go, I've learned that lesson, I've had that experience, I'm done with that, I'm truly, truly putting that back where it belongs in the past. I now have this new space that's opening up. And the degree to which I can release is the degree to which I have room for what's new. And the inspiration for letting go is the desire to want to have more room and space for what's new. So in the conversation of liberation, right, which is step 3, it's like, oh, okay, I'm now creating space. What do I want to have?
Yeah.
Right. I've been holding on to that. I'm willing to let that go. What do I want to hold in its place? Or what do I want to invite in its place?
I love that. I love that. Keep going. This is fantastic.
And then the final step is the step of self-love, self-acknowledgement, self-appreciation, that you gave yourself permission to move something really big out of the way.
Yeah.
That you have gained, you're older and wiser as a result of the experience. And now you get to offer all that wisdom back into the world and whatever you're doing and however you're showing up personally, professionally. And that you made it to the other side.
That's right. That is right. And you learn, like, that's almost a homecoming to yourself is what I would call that.
Yes.
Right?
That is exactly what it is.
And
that is exactly what it is.
Probably do this 100 times in your life for 100 different scenarios. I 100%. Love it.
It is the full circle of remembering. It is the reunion piece.
Yes.
Like, oh, right. Oh, right.
Right. Okay. So 6 steps. Okay. Right. I know I digressed us here just a bit, but we awareness, number 1, number 2,
awareness, acceptance. Number 3, forgiveness. Yes.
Okay.
Number 4, new vision, like reimagining, re-envisioning, recreating. And again, it's very kindred to this liberation step in the 4-step ritual, in the sense of, okay, if I know and I'm clear that I've released and I'm done with that, what do I want to have? Who do I want to be? What do I want to create? And in this particular step of the protocol, we actually create a new belief, right? Because I believe, and I say this all the time, you pluck a weed, you got to plant a flower.
Yes.
So that the weed doesn't grow back.
Yes, that's right. That's right. I
Right?
love that. I love that. God, that's good.
The soil of your mind is fertile.
Yes.
And what you plant in it will grow. So whatever you plant in, just knowing that's what's going to grow.
That's right.
And so you get to decide what you want to grow. So what is the new belief? What is the new conversation? What is the new opportunity that you now want to begin to engage and work with as you move forward, right? In transforming whatever is not working for you. So the new belief, and again, there's a whole process I take you through for crafting a new belief. And then we get to step 5. And step 5 is what I call aligned right action, which is that we put the new belief on the court, right? Meaning that every time we have an opportunity to engage, every time we have a place where we get to choose, we can choose from the now that we want to create, or we can choose from the past that we want to perpetuate. And we get to decide, right? Or the past maybe that we don't want to perpetuate. But at every choice point, we get to make a new decision that aligns with the new belief, right? So if the new belief is that I am absolutely capable of this new job, this new position, right? Maybe my organizational leaders out there, you've gotten a new role, or your responsibility has expanded, and it feels daunting and arduous, but you want it, and you feel like you can bring something to it that you want to offer. So the new belief is, okay, step by step, I'm getting more and more, right, clear about what I want to bring, or what I want to have, or what I want to create. And then your actions aligning with that. Like, oh yeah, okay. So now if that's what I want, what is the action? What is the practice? And we talk about vital actions and vital practices that continue to deepen the commitment to the new conversation, the new belief. And the belief, I want to also demystify this conversation about belief. Belief is simply a decision you've made.
Yeah.
That you keep telling yourself is true over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. But you're choosing whatever decision that is. So you get to change the decision if the decision doesn't serve you. So this new belief is about making a new decision. Oh, my new decision is actually I am capable. My new decision is actually I am worthy. My new decision is actually that I can't afford not to take advantage of these opportunities that enable me to grow. And then finally, step 6 is celebration. Now, some of us are great at celebration, and some of us, we know, are not. It's like we achieve something, complete something, and we're like on to the next thing. In this final step, we honor ourselves. We honor our effort. We recognize that any progress is progress. And we allow our opportunity to see our efforts and celebrate, to motivate us to continue to take the steps that are consistent with the reality that we want to create.
Oh my God. You are so insightful, and I love the framework. I love that it's tangible. I love that it can be put to use, that it's a 6-step framework, that it ends with celebrating yourself and the win. Because I can speak for myself, and I know leaders listening to this can relate. This culture that we live in is so fast paced that when we set one goal and achieve it, we're right on to the next thing. And I love that you included the celebration as part of that framework, because I burned myself out by not celebrating my wins. And if you don't celebrate, you can burn yourself out, because you just want more and more and more. And it goes back to your intention of being present. When you're actually present, you can feel all of those steps so immensely and so deeply, and they all make so much sense the way that you have sequenced them out. I want to ask you, what do you do to celebrate you, Rob? What have you done to celebrate who you are and some of your frameworks for finding your calling?
I so appreciate this question. And I particularly, Erin, appreciate this question with you because I will say that I am learning how to play.
Yes.
Everything, when, if I look at my long-standing overachieving workaholic history,
Thank God.
Everything has had to what's the use of it? What's the purpose of it? And the purpose always had to be either professional or it had to be, rooted in someone depending on me and so I laugh more. I dance more. I would say to you, dance is a big part of the way I celebrate now. I really make time for friends.
Yes.
I have date night with my husband where we have an agreement that we're not going to talk about work, which is huge.
So good. So good. I'm using that tomorrow night on my date night.
Because you all know, listen, sometimes we spend time with our friends and our loved ones and we're still talking about work.
Yes.
And I love my work. And I also have a life that my work supports. And I have a life that supports my work. And I need to have a healthy relationship with that. And I think, you're kind of leading me into what the next book is, but this is where I'm going because I think for so many of us, the next frontier is going to be reimagining our relationship to work and how we work.
Yes. When is that happening, Rob? When are we getting that? Like, when can we see that? That's
I would say probably spring 2025. I'm in the throes of it, you all. Literally in the midst of the manuscript. Thank you. But it's all about this reset on ambition and this way in which we are now, as we emerge out of what has been an incredibly difficult and humanizing last 3.5 years, how are we now thinking about our life and our success differently? And at the center and the core of that is the nature and the quality of our work, right? And that's not only what we're working on, but the way in which we're working, and the opportunity to renegotiate that, to reimagine that, to recreate that.
I just want to talk to you all day. I feel like I'm high energy, but you have this like calming energy. I just feel like I'm at the spa and I've just been like I've had like a TED talk at the spa is what it feels like because you are just so lovely. And I'm so excited for you to share this new book with the world. And The Calling is available anywhere you get books, right? So make sure if you're listening if you have not read this book, it is so magical. Okay, I have one final question for you, and I could talk to you literally forever, but this is something we ask all of our guests. So we say at Improve It, the it is your purpose, your calling, if you will, your thing that you are put on this earth here to do. So Rha Goddess, what is your it?
So I believe that I am really here to help people unleash their most authentic selves in service to their greatest contributions. And my opportunity is to make that accessible, make that available, make that possible, and ultimately inevitable. That's my work.
Okay. Full body chills. Also, like you're living out that it, and it is so beautiful. I'm so grateful you came on this show. And I want anyone who is listening who doesn't follow Rha Goddess, doesn't know where to find you, tell them where they could find you.
So I am on all of the platforms at Rha Goddess or /Rha Goddess. And that's RHA Goddess. And yes, please come say hello if you've got questions for me. And Erin, I just want to thank you so much for your incredible work. Like, we only get to have the opportunity to touch amazing people like the ones you serve because you've created a sacred space to be able to have these important conversations, especially at a time right now where I just feel like any of us who are navigating all of the professional and personal challenges that come with this time of year, right? We need you. So I just want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for who you are and all that you do.
I received that. And truly, I'm going to fall down and I'm going to die now, because that is literally the thing that I needed to hear. I mean, literally, I'm dead. Stick a fork in me. I'm done. Rha Goddess just told me that. And I have to tell you, you are an inspiration, again, to so many people. So keep doing this work. We need your work. And I'm thrilled to be a light worker in your corner. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Erin.
Improve it, peeps. She is such a breath of fresh air. So make sure you follow Rha on all the social channels. Make sure you get her book, The Calling. It's incredible. She's incredible. And I want to give you some tangible takeaways, as I always do. So number one, make sure you go back and listen to last week's episode if you have not. We're talking all about craving purpose in your life and career. And I want to that's what we're talking about this week. Just kidding. What we're talking about last week is all about craving routine. So forgive me. I misspoke, my friends. But Rha is this week's guest. And last week we talked about craving routine, habits that you'll actually stick to. Here's your homework from today's episode. I want you to truly think about your calling. What is it that brings you energy? What is that thing that lights you up? And then how can you apply this 6-step framework to your life so that you can walk away living a life filled with purpose? And then here's your extra credit. After you go through this 6-step framework, number 6, as you remember, is all about celebration. Celebrate the wins. Celebrate the things that you have accomplished. Don't rush to the next thing. Really find time and creative ways to celebrate and to be in that moment. Just like her intention for the show, being present to your life and to others can change the trajectory and the purpose of where you go from here. I am so honored to have Rha on this show. She is a light worker. She is a guest that I have listened to on many podcasts that I admire, and to have her on this show is such a delight. So thank you, my beautiful Improve It peeps, my lovely community, for giving this show legs, for supporting it, for being the guiding light, because we have a lot of work to do. We have so many light workers to talk to. We have so many people to hold and to help and to serve. And we can do that by lifting each other up. So thank you. I celebrate you. I'm going to go celebrate right now. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to celebrate the fact that I just got to interview Rha Goddess and y'all got to hear it. What a day. Celebrate and really lean into the 6-step. Let me speak words. I'm celebrating already. Lean into this 6-step framework. I'm so proud of you. And you know what I'm going to say? Keep failing, keep improving, because this world needs that very special it that only you can bring. I'll see you next time. Improve it. Improve It Podcast.